landing. Please put your belongings in the overhead lockers or under your seat and fasten your seatbelt. If we do have to evacuate, you must leave all items behind to prevent blocking the exit.
Don't look at me like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Should We Start Here podcast. I'm your host, Frank Gill. And this is the first episode of season 1. I hope you guys are doing well. My wife and I are just coming off of a camping trip. We took the dogs. We were in Alamosa, Colorado. If you're not super familiar with that area, that's about 30 minutes from the New Mexico border. And if you can imagine a bowl, but this is Southwest terrain. So when you guys think about camping, this may be a bit different from your traditional picture of like wooded area, cabins, or trees where you can tie your hammock to. I'm talking tumbleweeds, cacti, mountains as far as the eye can see. When I tell you we are wrapped 360 degree of nothing but mountains. The sunsets are beautiful and the sunrises are even more gorgeous. And so we took the dogs, they roamed and chased different creatures. This area is a really cool area. Like my wife and I, we set up our hammocks at our bonfires, camp stoves. We were painting, reading, listening to podcasts. We were journaling. We were eating junk food, soup, steak, just having a really, really great time. We go to this particular spot at least once or twice a year. I'm usually not worried about whether or not my dogs are going to run off and wander into somebody else's camp space. Great sand dunes are also in this area. If you guys have never visited the Great Sand Dunes, it's a marvel. It is sand dunes. Think about Saudi Arabia, think about Middle East, the Sahara. These are sand dunes on top of sand dunes. So it's like very eerie that these would be in this particular location. And so it's such a interesting contrast. And to your right, there's nothing but snow-capped covered Rocky Mountains. Absolutely gorgeous. I definitely recommend you guys go and check that out. Kind of off the grid. The stars, phenomenal. When I tell you pitch black sky with trillions of stars, you can't pay for a better view of the sky because there is zero light pollution. There's a UFO watchtower, so there's several like UFO sightings. We camped for 2 nights. We didn't see any in this area, but we did have a sighting. We're gonna save that for another episode because I do want to connect with the people who have maybe felt like they've seen something in the sky that does not make sense. So here in Colorado, my wife and I saw something to the point like it wasn't just us. Like I went as far as to involve another family who was walking up. It was like a family of 5 or 6. I tapped them. I was like, hey, look at this. Am I tweaking? Like, what is that? And their reactions were the same as my wife and I's. Like, wow. We can't explain it. Let me not go on this tangent because I will lose track of mind. It's weird hearing myself talk about these things out loud, but these things really happen, bro. I'm trying to understand where UFOs or where aliens, where extraterrestrial creatures fit in the scripture. I grew up in the church. Like some season of my early elementary, middle school years, we were in church at least twice, if not 3 times a week. For rehearsals, for this practice, that practice, we stayed busy in the church. So I am trying to process these things. And listen, so I went to school for aviation and studied to get my AMP. What I'm seeing doesn't make any sense. I get that in this area, there's military base. Y'all, there's a Space Force base here in Colorado. I ended up bumping into a guy. I've seen it in person, but I ended up bumping into a guy who had on a uniform. I was like, bro, like, what do y'all do? He was like, what? Truthfully, bro, I don't even know. We're still trying to figure it out. We're still in, I guess they're still in like the beginning stages. They're trying to iron some things out. So he couldn't give me anything that I guess would make sense to me. Now that I've said that, damn, I lost my train of thought. Listen, part of what we're doing here today is I'm going to talk about this podcast and I'm going to talk about what it's been like for me to put this together. The reason I'm taking this route of conversation right now is because I often forget things. And this started for me when I was in my early to mid 20s. I would forget important things and it was like terrifying. I was battling depression. When you don't have the language or vocabulary for something, you can kind of become a bit of a recluse. For me, the way I'm wired, my personality, I'm an introvert. And I don't know that I've always been like that. I think in my early childhood, I was probably more an extrovert. And then became a victim to so much trauma. I think at some point, I feel like I lost my voice as a young kid, and I just kind of stayed to myself. I didn't have peace outside. I didn't have peace inside. The only place where I could find peace was in creating things, building things. I would create anything to kind of get us out of chores, or I lie to you not, the RoboVac that is in existence today. Ask my little brother Fox if I didn't have that idea before it was introduced to public market. And so it was something that I like created as a young kid. I just literally they might have got me or something like that. I might need a lawyer or something to go back and look at some files, because we did at one point reach out to invent help. Remember the old commercial with the caveman and the concrete stone? That number would come across the screen of my television, and I was a child full of ideas. And then that changed. I grew up in a rough environment. You know what I mean? And so like I grew up right next door to the bando. When you're constantly searching for your place of peace at a young age, or your development is constantly being stunted or interrupted in some capacity, y'all, I saw some crazy, wild shit as a kid. Where I'm going with this story is I'm talking about mental health and this podcast, and this being a project of mine for almost 5 years. There's a little shame behind that, but I recognize in order for us to have transformative conversations, there has to be some transparency and some vulnerability on my end. I'm not just trying to build a podcast. I'm trying to build a community of people who are growing together. Normal, everyday folks who are battling depression, navigating divorce, or working through some type of loss. Maybe you lost your child in a tragic accident, or someone OD'd. These are everyday folks. And so I know what it's been like for me to claw my way out of darkness. And even as I talk to you right now in like real time, I'm not healed of anything. Like my depression is still out here trying to take me out. Do you get what I'm saying? To a lot of y'all, you might be like, Frank, that's a little dark. Are you okay? Yes. Listen, I've never been healthier. And I know that there are people listening to me who are on the verge of a mental breakdown. Like, yo, I don't want to be here anymore. I need you guys to hang in there, because my story is not that much different from yours. Guys, I'm not going to give you guys the full, this is Frank Gill, this is who I am. I'm not going to do that all here today, because over the span of season 1, throughout the interviews and you guys meeting friends and family and things like that, you guys will hear more of my story. I felt it important to share this part of my journey and my growth. I had a mountain of excuses. My depression has held me captive. I'm talking mind and body. Now, I have days where I literally want to punch God in and through his face. That is just, here's the problem. People hate when you say things that they feel or say in darkness. You too have at one point been frustrated with God, or been frustrated with whatever spirituality you believe and follow. Long story long, my depression has been whooping my ass, and me trying to produce, edit, all this stuff. I was fighting for my life during the pandemic. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't have a clear definition of what that was. I just knew that I was always tense. Chest would hurt, and I would get frustrated, or I would sometimes have panic attacks, and I would cry because I'm like, am I having a heart attack? What is going on? And it was just my body reacting to me never feeling safe during that time. And there are many of situations throughout life in which I haven't, but the pandemic in particular, my body was stuck in fight or flight. I was always tense. I was just going through it. And then more transparency. Guys, I was taking these antidepressants. If you guys are going through depression, or you feel like you're navigating depression, talk to a licensed physician, parent, your guardian, talk to your mentor, or even talk to someone in your social circle if you're comfortable, because you'd be surprised who that is also taking meds or antidepressants. I would much rather you guys connect with people who are familiar with them. So I'm going to tell you my experience. I'm on the 4th medication. It's been a frustrating and turbulent experience. I'm not gonna lie to you. There are days where I guess, what do people call them? Mood swings. Irritable 1 second, happy 1 minute, crying the next, angry. It's exhausting. What my current meds, I won't tell you what it is. Maybe I will. I used to take 6, which is crazy. I have pictures. It's wild. My current med has created issues with my liver and my kidneys, which is why I'm in a season of like going off them. And I wouldn't encourage anybody just going off your meds cold turkey. Ask questions. Like, don't be an idiot about this because it's serious. Like, this has a lot to do with the way your mind functions and chemicals. I've done a lot of research over the last 4 years. Okay, so this is part of the podcast where you guys get to know me a little bit better. Let's jump into this. So the question is, what was the last movie that I saw? I saw Mad Max Furiosa and Bad Boys 4, Ride or Die. I know there's been a lot of talk about Will Smith and the Oscars slap. That situation didn't change how I saw the film. But when I saw Will, I saw the slap for 1 or 2 seconds. And then a tsunami of memories of young Will Smith who was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Independence Day, Enemy of the State, Men in Black. My wife and I enjoyed the movie. Now, I don't know how much replay value Bad Boys 4 Ride or Die will have in comparison to Bad Boys 1, 2, but the prior films, number 1 and 2 specifically, these are films that I do play over and over from time to time. I'll just have them on in the background while I'm studying, while I'm writing, while I'm editing, whatever it is. Next question, what's your favorite food? Man, that is such a difficult question because I love to eat and I also cook. At some point in my late teen years, I worked as a chef at a restaurant in Virginia Beach. It's called Catch 31 in Salacia. Started out in the dish pit. Anybody that worked with me in that dish pit crew, I just want to take a moment to shout y'all out. I don't know where you are in life. That was 16 years ago, 17 years ago. Shout out to everybody working in front of the house, back of the house, but I want to give a special shout out to the folks working in the dish pit. Dang, who was back there? Corey, TT, Steven, Jamie. Let me not forget one of the goofiest, shout out Clay Lee. Rest in peace to that man. There's an old dude named Clay Lee. He loved to drink. But Clay Lee, he was a character. He was missing teeth, bald-headed. Like, there was never a dull moment in the dish pit. If he was working, like, he would stress you out. He would frustrate you. But if you get into arguments with him, y'all would just snap on each other. We would laugh and joke. We would pull pranks on this man because that was who he was. He was such a lovable, funny person. Anytime he would see me, he would always have something to say. Some of these people I just named, they helped make that experience worthwhile. A bunch of funny hard workers who knew how to turn what felt like a terrible job into something so fun. My favorite food. I love Southern comfort food. Fried fish, crawfish broils, Ethiopian food, oxtail, rice and peas, Filipino food, anything from the Caribbean islands served with plantains, you name it, I am about it. What am I currently watching? Are y'all watching House of Dragons? Listen, I love Game of Thrones. I jumped on that series kind of late. I'm not really into trends. If you guys flock to something, I'm probably, I don't know what it is, but I feel a need to resist. I love a good show or movie with dragons. I love the costumes. I love the set. I love the aesthetics. The show is a hit for me. I'm also watching Supercell. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Check that out. What shows do I keep in rotation? Meaning these shows are just maybe on in the background playing, or if I just need a break from work, I'll look up Martin Lawrence Show, Kim's Convenience, Suits, and This Fool. The next question is, what books are you reading? I love dystopian, sci-fi type books and films. I just finished George Orwell's 1984. I recommend that book to anyone. What else? How to Fight a Hydra by Josh Kaufman. You guys know what a Hydra is. It's the monster that Godzilla fights, or the Greek mythological creature. It's that dragon-looking joint where you chop one head off and they just keep growing to grow back or something like that. This book is definitely worth checking out. Lastly, I'm reading The Parasitic Mind. That's by Gad Saad. What we got here? Oh, what is your favorite? Here we go. Anybody that knows me, that really knows me, knows that I love music. Along with journaling, music has been such a cathartic tool. Favorite genre of music is hip hop, but I'm a fan of all music. If you look at the artist and the songs that I stream, it might be somewhat confusing to you. Music has played such a vital role in saving my life from the age of 11 to 30. Trying to figure out ways to self-soothe. Would you believe that I could not go to sleep at night if I did not hear some type of music? It was the only tool that I had access to, especially as a young kid, that gave me peace. So I needed music to go to sleep. When I look at my playlist, or I look at my most recently played songs, these are artists I really listen to. I listen to whatever I want. Like nobody tells me what to listen to or what I can and can't listen to. Does that make sense? Listen to what gives you life. If you are of a certain ethnicity, people will try to put you in a box and tell you what you have to listen to. And I just refuse to be put in a box. I like what I like, and I'm gonna continue to like what I like. And I think you should do the same. What artists? Dang, who do I listen to? I'm listening to Roy Ayers, Nas, Esperanza Spalding, Mac Miller, Tyler the Creator, Metro Boomin, Robert Glasper, Jay-Z, Snow Allegra, 311, Empire of the Sun, Conway the Machine, Kool in the Gang, Morgan Wallen, and the list goes on and on. What are some of my hobbies? Camping, hiking, painting, fishing. Love fishing, especially growing up in Virginia Beach on the Atlantic. Photography and road trips to just about anywhere and pick up football games. This one's about my favorite season. So this question is gonna be a little tricky simply because I love summer, but for some reason, fall is my favorite season, which is crazy because my energy starts to change. Why would I love fall, but it also be somewhat draining to my spirit? It's so interesting, but I do fight depression year round. It just happens to get significantly worse in the fall. What? Well, then no, I guess somebody help me out. Like, is that seasonal depression or does my depression just get worse? I guess, so I have depression on top of seasonal depression? I don't know. I just know that fall is my favorite season. And so when September 1st hits, it's the end of the year. People are nicer. People are kinder. They introduce all this pumpkin spice stuff. So people are in the spirit of Christmas and Thanksgiving. And this time of year, you happen to see so much more of your friends and family. College, high school, professional football starts back. That third or that fourth quarter of the year, the weather changes. People are going back to school, busy. It's light jacket, hoodie season. I love going to a game. It's hard to compare the energy I get from being in a movie on opening night, feeling the vibes, laughing, feeling all the emotions with the people in the theater, or going to a show, a live show. Easily one of my favorite things to do. I've probably seen about 35 to 40 artists live. I took my wife to see Ed Sheeran and Khalid in Denver a couple months back, and it was raining on us like crazy, so we missed a good part of Khalid's performance. However, Ed Sheeran still performed. On this podcast, we're gonna do interviews. We're gonna talk current events. We're gonna talk conspiracy theory. We're gonna talk aliens. We're gonna talk to local up and coming artists in Colorado and other states. We're gonna talk about the 18 years that I've been in ministry and what it's been like for me to work alongside some of the most beautiful, hardworking people I've ever met. While on the other hand, working with people who are conniving, vindictive, manipulating, didn't deliver on promises, didn't value hard work. Some of these people did the bare minimum, but were professionals at ass licking and testicle holding. In closing, I want to say healing is incredibly uncomfortable, especially if you do it in front of people. It's messy. My depression has made everything feel 20 times more difficult. From sending an email, to getting out of bed, to calling this person, or maintaining relationships, to running a business or working in a corporate space. I'm in a phase of my life where I'm learning to live with my depression. What does that mean? Like, it means that I still pray for peace. I'm still praying for healing. And I struggle because I don't know that it's God's desire to heal me of my depression. Maybe I'm meant to carry this for the rest of my life and be a light and a vessel for other people. I do know one thing. My body has been reacting to this podcast, meaning my mind is with you, but my body is saying, Frank, don't talk about these things. Don't talk about healing. Don't talk about your mental health.
You're crazy.
I don't want to say nothing wrong, but it would truly be wrong if I didn't say anything. If you're someone who is living with any type of mental illness, then you understand how difficult it is to do normal day-to-day things, you know? If you look at the podcast cover, it's a picture of me looking to my left. The smirk is because I somehow was able to evade my depression and create this episode. I'm not always able to get away from my depression, but on the days that I am, I've made a promise to myself to no longer allow myself to be held captive by this darkness. I'm no longer willing to settle for I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it has been killing dreams far longer than you or I have ever been around. Men, I want to encourage you to grab a journal. Don't let them trick you and tell you that it's for women. I have 2 of them. One has been with me everywhere. Dubai, Ethiopia, Costa Rica, Jamaica, the DR, etc. This book of paper has saved my life on more than one occasion. It has kept me from open hand slapping the faces of many people. Invest in one. There are 8 billion people in the world today, and everybody woke up with a different experience. Nothing about this life is normal. It took me 4 years to mentally prepare for this podcast. But in the process of mentally preparing and going through life I taught myself everything that Adobe Suites has to offer. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned a lot about what I can build while I am sick or while I'm unwell. Hey guys, I want you to remember this. If the progress isn't measurable, then the work has been minimal or non-existent. It's no one else's responsibility. The choice is yours. You either run the risk or you walk in regret. We all wield the potential for true change in our life. I want to challenge you guys today. Stop putting band-aids on bullet wounds. Something has happened to you. Have you told anyone? Some of us need to visit a doctor. We need healing in order to stop the blaming and the bleeding. Thinking or overthinking about doing something does not count as an action step. I'm sorry to let you down, but no real work has been done. There is no shortcut. When are we gonna start doing for ourselves what we know we need to do? Your future self is rooting for you to do the work today. He or she is screaming at you from the future to get up, to put down the controller, to save your money, to hit the gym, to spend more time with your loved ones. Friends, life is a 3-point shooting contest. It's about how many shots you can make before your time runs out. But in this scenario of life, you don't get to see the clock. The clock is just running. You get older and you never know when the buzzer is gonna go off. Break the bondage of fear, pray, practice, and shoot your shots. Stop showing up to the gym expecting to make shit when you know you didn't practice. And then you have the audacity to quit. The requirement is sweat equity. Please let these words wash over you. You are important. You are valuable. And if it feels like no one loves you or cares about you or your situation, I do. I need you to know that. I don't know you. I don't have to know you to care. I've been caring for random people and children for 18 plus years. That's what I do. If you are anything like me, when we are at our healthiest, we are the funnest, most hilarious people. It's kind of surreal when you realize just how much our own pride and or insecurities prevent us from tapping into the fullness of who we're supposed to be. I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way. And if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, then I suggest you hit that subscribe button, because you guys are going on a journey of my thoughts. We're gonna have so much fun. I want every blessing that God has intended for me. And I realize I've missed some of those blessings due to me not always being the greatest at taking care of myself. Some of us have been down most of our lives. We've been snuffed, kicked, pedigreed, stunnered, sweet chin music, all of that. But I don't want to be one of those people who dies with depression, never having attempted to live out my dreams. I don't want to die with my dreams in my hand. Sorry to be morbid. I'm not planning to go anywhere, but just stick with me. Some of these episodes won't make any sense to you, but that's okay. This is really my playground to do what I want to do, to have the conversations that I want to have, to talk to the people that I want to talk to or that you want to talk to sometimes come here and vent about nothing. And if you subscribe, then you will probably hear some of that. Because this darkness tried to take me out, I just feel like it's personal. Y'all, I want the spirit of mental illness and depression to hate every day that I live. You play with the wrong one. I'm ready to raise an army. You hear me? And the only way that I can do that is by speaking my truth about the experiences that I have or the things that I deal with in real time and standing up and trying my best to move forward. And so I want to invite you guys along for that journey, because we can do so much more than our mind tells us. Those of you who are connected to some type of spirituality, you know when you start to feel something that is not of this world or this realm. This is an energy, this is a feeling that is in my soul. Something in what I said today is gonna help somebody. I just feel it. Shout out to everybody out here shattering glass ceilings and breaking generational curses. Some of us are doing things we never saw modeled for us. I feel like I have to say this for my brothers, for my sisters, for my nieces, for my nephews, for my godchildren, for the family members that come long after me, especially the boys, especially the men. Take care of your mind. Shout out to my wife, my best friend. She don't play about me, I don't play about her. Shout out to the Gill and Santiago family. Love y'all so much. Special shout out to Avis at Dutch Bros Coffee off of Voyager and Academy. You were super cool and you took care of my friends and family. Your energy is the type of energy we need more of. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for the latest information. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay weird and welcome to my world.